Okay, hello, my name's Tony. This is What Would You Do, week number 2. And collectively as a group, we decided upon scenario number 2, shark conservation efforts off the coast of Florida. So in this scenario, I was asked to advise the Florida Department of Environmental Protection on whether the state should pursue shark conservation efforts off the coast. The scenario presents two clear conflicts and conflicting groups. So the scientists emphasize that sharks are top predators that are critical to a healthy coastal and coral reef ecosystem. Meanwhile, tourism representatives worried that conserving sharks could increase their population numbers, which would increase interactions between humans and sharks, increasing a fear of shark attacks, scaring tourists, and having a negative effect on Florida's tourism economy. I chose to support funding shark conservation while also supporting a relocation effort and deterrent strategies used in other countries to reduce risk near these recreational areas. So the concern here is that the removal or loss of a top predator can trigger something called a trophic cascade. And a trophic cascade is a chain reaction that occurs across something called trophic levels. And the trophic levels are introduced in chapter 3 on page 79, and they are something described as an organism's position in a food web, from the producers at the base up to consumers at the top, and the top predators that keep population numbers balanced. So an example was provided in this sort of stories of discovery panel, and this one was titled Predators and Trees in Yellowstone. And this was in chapter 4 on page 106. And it describes how when wolves were eliminated from Yellowstone, elk populations grew unchecked. And this led to overgrazing and a collapse of tree regeneration, especially along riverbanks. And once the wolves were reintroduced, vegetation actually recovered. And then with that, you saw the recovery of beaver population numbers and also songbirds. Their activity also rebounded back to somewhat normal levels. So a similar process applies to the sharks in Florida's coastal ecosystems. As top predators, sharks regulate fish populations and behavior. And so when sharks decline, mid-level consumers can overpopulate, placing pressure on these coral reefs and reducing the biodiversity. And this is actually reinforced in the video titled, Why is Biodiversity So Important? And this video explains that keystone species help hold ecosystems together, and actually describes the coral as a keystone species, and that coral reef systems are especially vulnerable when these species are lost. And that video also does a good job representing different types of biospheres and how everything works in harmony to benefit one another. So, and then in chapter 6, a sort of equation is introduced called the IPAT framework. And this explains the environmental impact and how it's shaped by population, affluence, and technology. And this is Florida's tourism industry reflects a high affluence and coastal consumption. So using shark relocation and deterrent technologies allows the state to reduce conflict while conserving the biodiversity and also interaction between humans. So essentially, I believe that supporting shark conservation is the most sustainable option because sharks are essential to ecosystems stability, the biodiversity, and also the long-term economic health is addressed in that with the deterrent strategies. So I believe that this approach shows that protecting people and protecting ecosystems do not have to be separate, and we can address all the issues that were brought to the attention within that initial meeting. So that really is my reasoning for my choices. Thanks.